I'm addressing a seriously BS type of thinking that we have been taught is correct and right, and this is the advice we should follow when it comes to losing weight and starting to feel good about ourselves. But I'm here today to give you a passion-fueled and always science-based, real talk, no BS on a question that I received through email a couple days ago, and the question was, Tanessa, if calories are all that matter, why is sugar so bad? Can't I just eat donuts and lose all my weight? I'm here to answer this today. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why this type of thinking needs to shift. And I first want to disclaim that this type of thinking is not our fault. The reason is we've been told that all you need to do to lose weight is exercise more, eat less. I mean, if you even go to the doctors, they will tell you that. If you go on Pinterest, they tell you that. YouTube, Google. That seems to be just our easy go-to formula to say, well, you're not losing weight, you should probably exercise some more. You should probably cut some calories because after all, calories are all that matters. So if you burn more and eat less, you'll lose weight. But here's the thing. If that was true, we'd all be thin right now. If that was like simple and easy to follow, we'd all be completely thin right now. But that's not the case. So we know that there's more to it than that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. You guys, my name is Tanessa Shears. If we haven't met before, welcome. I'm so excited to be here. I am the creator of the Last Diet Makeover system that has helped so many women drop their last 10 pounds despite having crazy busy lives by just having sustainable systems that are based on science that cut the food cravings and the extra weight at the same time. I am so excited that you guys are here. So let's address that question. If calories are all that matter, why is sugar so bad? Can't I just eat donuts and lose weight? So we've always been taught, like I said, that, you know, a calorie is a calorie, but that is not true, and it is fundamentally being proven in research over and over and over again. It is just a really simple thing to kind of tell you for those that haven't done the research and dug into actually what causes weight gain, what causes weight to be challenging to take off of your body, what is throwing up the obstacles for us. So the first thing we need to talk about is a calorie is not a calorie. That is my point number 1. Here is why. And I'm going to use the example of, let's just go really broad spectrum here. I want you to think of 1,500 calories of donuts, and I want you to compare that to 1,500 calories of, say, let's say a salad. Now, I'm very aware that you're not going to eat 1,500 calories of salad and call it a day, or 1,500 calories of a donut and call it a day. I'm fully aware of that. However, for argument's sake, I need you to look at these 2 things. Now, the donut is full of all kinds of trans fats, saturated fats, sugars, processed flour. These processed and refined foods have extremely enhanced effects on our hormones, specifically insulin, which is basically a fat fertilizer. Whenever you have insulin high in the body, it is storing fat. You can't pull it out of fat. It basically fertilizes your fat and causes it to grow, all right? It also affects ghrelin. Ghrelin is a hormone that tells you when you're hungry, and it affects leptin. Leptin is a hormone that tells you I'm full, stop eating. When you start throwing foods that are processed and refined, full of foods that have additives and have crazy effects on our hormones, we have no idea when we're hungry. We're hungry all the time. We're hungry every hour. Our food cravings are out of control. We just literally can't stop eating. So this is what happens when you start eating these processed and refined foods. Now let's look at the other side of the table. We talked about our 1,500 calorie salad. Salads, I mean, if you know me, I'm a salad queen. I love posting my salads on my Instagram account. I love massive bowls of all types of greens. Swiss chard, kale, I love spinach, all of these things. I have peppers in there, cucumbers in there, nuts, seeds, oil-based dressings, avocados, all of these things like that. So even if we're just talking about the carb component of the salads, which is the vegetable. So let's just talk about the vegetable part. The vegetables do not spike those hormones, and especially insulin, that's that fat fertilizer, in the same way, because they have a lot more fiber in them. And fiber is one of those things that mitigates the spike in that hormone insulin. And when insulin is high, you store fat, you can't burn fat, and it fertilizes fat, all right? We need to understand that. So when you have your salad, this is not only, it's not only the fiber in it, but it's the fats that you eat with it for the most part, and the proteins that you eat with it for the most part. It is full of vitamins and nutrients and things that support our body. So essentially, if you're going to compare a 1,500 calorie diet of donuts and a 1,500 calorie diet of salad, and I know that that's not what we eat, but just for perspective's sake here, they are going to affect your hormone profile entirely differently. You will much more likely store those donuts as fat and block yourself from accessing those fats as fuel. It puts you on a roller coaster of hunger and cravings, which is very hard to get off of, and it throws our bodies out of whack. So no, a calorie is not a calorie. So donuts and eating whole foods are not ever going to be in the same category. So I want you to literally ask yourself, like, if I'm going to eat all day donuts and all day salad, do you really think those are going to be two different bodies? Health-wise, energy-wise, how they feel about themselves, and even the physical shape that their body is taking. So no, calories are not just all the same uniquely across the board. They affect our hormone profiles differently. All right, point number 2 on why that question, total BS. The daily calorie allotments that we think we should be hitting are completely subjective. So here's what I mean. The question specifically said, can't I eat donuts and lose weight if it still fits my daily calorie intake? I want to ask you right now, where did you get your daily calorie intake? Here's what we say. Oh, I guessed, or the diet program told me 2,000, or the diet program told me 1,200, or I went and found some online calculator. I entered my age, I entered my gender, and I entered my height, and it told me exactly what I should be eating. No, there are so many things that aren't taken into account with that. What that does is that those numbers are based on a formula that was likely developed on, and this is the truth. I mean, I've done my undergrad I have a bachelor's of science in kinesiology. I went over plenty of these types of studies, and a lot of the formulas that we take for calorie intake, basal metabolic rate, resting metabolic rate, all of these things are developed on primarily Caucasian university students. So, know that so many things beyond age, height, and what was the other? I said age, height, and gender affect it. Race affects it, because just the same thing as certain Asian populations, alcohol affects them differently. The milk, sugar, lactose affects them differently. There are different things there. Also, our metabolic state. Some of us are naturally more tolerant of carbohydrates than others. Some people can eat let's just say 100 grams of carbs, and much of that will be stored, and some people can eat 100 grams of carbs, and much of that will be, burned, and our bodies all function so differently. On top of that, there is just differences between you and I. There's differences in muscle mass. I mean, muscle mass is metabolic. It burns through a lot of tissues. Or burns through a lot of energy, sorry. So there are so many things that confound that factor. Then, of course, all of a sudden, if you're older and you're not a university student, are these results really correlated? If you're a 50-year-old woman comparing the results on a formula that was created on 20-year-old females, is this really relevant to you? So these numbers have been shown to be off by up to 25%. So that nice 2,000 calorie number you're shooting for, it could actually be anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500. So if your body needs 2,500, you're under eating. And if your body needs 1,500, you're overeating. And it gets so dang complicated. And then can we just rest the point that those numbers that you are aiming for are usually calculated based on things that have very little to do with you, your body, your hormones, your current metabolism, all right? So what we want to do instead is, A, listen to what our body needs by saying, how often am I just stuffing my face when I'm not hungry? How often does my body actually need food? And are those factors being confounded by the fact that I'm eating so much processed foods? Because our hunger signals totally out of whack when we are eating processed and refined foods. If you're getting hungry every 1, 2, or 3 hours, your hormones are out of whack. You should be able to easily go 4 or 5 hours without eating and feel completely satisfied, because your diet is whole foods that have great healthy fats and great healthy proteins. So, little off topic for that one there, but those daily numbers you're aiming for might have nothing to do with you. So, point number 1, no, a calorie is not a calorie. They are made up of entirely different macronutrients and fiber and all those things that completely affect your hormones. Number 2, calories are not calories. And my third reason, sugar. what is the deal with sugar? That's the question I was asked. So sugar affects so many things in our body. I want you to essentially think of sugar as poison. Now, I want to disclaim right now, I am not sitting here preaching this because I don't lead an entirely sugar-free life. You bet that there's one night on the weekend where I decide to have my favorite treat for the week. However, I have, as a principle, removed it because of all of the negative effects I have on our diet. So what I didn't realize before I cut out sugar was it's not normal to be hungry 2 hours after a meal. It's not normal to be exhausted and tired by 2 to 3 p.m. and want a nap. It is not normal to have disrupted sleep. It is not normal to feel bloated all the time. It is not normal to carry extra weight all of the time. These are things that are affected by our diets, and if we are eating high amounts of processed foods, garbage, and sugar all the time, these are things that are affected by that. And when I started pulling sugar out, even just 6 days a week, all of those things went away. I can go hours without eating. I am satisfied. I am at my ideal weight. My energy is great. I sleep great. I don't have energy crashes throughout the day. I rely less on caffeine. There are so many things that are affected by removing sugar. I have 4 main reasons why sugar is awful, and I'm going to try to keep this brief because I know we've been here a little bit now. So number 1, it affects your hormones. Sugar is not what we experience it as in nature. In nature, sugar shows up as the plant, a sugar cane. We then take it out of the wild, pulverize it, mill it, make it into a fine white powder, which essentially increases its surface area. When it hits our body, because of that increased surface area, it has an exaggerated effect. Our body reacts to it a lot differently. So when you have 2 tablespoons of sugar, your blood sugar goes up. Blood sugar goes up, insulin goes up. We talked about insulin. It is a fat fertilizer. When insulin is up, you store fat, you have a challenging time getting fat out of storage, and there's a whole other host of things that happen when insulin goes high, but that's the main one I want you to know. So sugar affects blood sugar very intensely, more than any other food you can consume, and as an effect of that, insulin goes up, you're not losing any weight. Number 2, insulin entirely screws with sugar entirely screws with your hunger signals. Here is why. When you are constantly feeding your body sugar, and hear me when I say sugar, pasta also shows up in the body as sugar, glucose. All types of breads show up in the body as sugar. Did you know that 2 tablespoons of sugar does the same thing to your blood sugar levels, 2 tablespoons of sugar as 2 slices of bread? So this is all having to do with the refining process on there. But I want you to think about this. Your body, when you are feeding it that kind of food every 1 to 2 hours, is used to having a constant energy supply of sugar, aka glucose, in the bloodstream. Glucose is what your body uses for energy, okay? So you have a big sugary breakfast cereal, you have oatmeal, you have bran, and what happens is your blood sugar goes up, your body pulls that out to use as energy, but you've now experienced that dip. You know that feeling we like to call low blood sugar? You're not experiencing low blood sugar. What you're experiencing is normal blood sugar. You're experiencing a roller coaster. You're experiencing coming back down to normal. But your body has no way to get that fat out of storage, this fat that we want to lose, because our insulin is high. So instead of being able to tap into the stored fat in our body, which is what we want, your brain goes, we need more, let's get hungry. And your hunger signals are all messed up because of that. Your hunger becomes more of a habit than an actual response to what your body needs. So I need you to understand this. You're constantly feeling hungry all the time and having to eat every 2 to 3 hours is because the food you are eating is showing up as sugar in the bloodstream, that's glucose, and you're not able to access long-term energy as fuel. So reason number 1, messes with your hormones. Reason number 2, it screws up your hunger. This is sugar. Reason number 3, it's inflammatory. It is inflammatory. When that kind of food hits the gut, your gut lining should be nice and tight like this. But when we start introducing processed and refined foods that causes inflammation, the gut lining begins to gap. And what happens is these things leak through the gut wall. And did you know that 60% of our immune system lies right outside of that gut wall? So we have an inflammation response. What that looks like, joint pain, bloating, headaches, all kinds of things get set off like that. It is a direct effector of heart disease and of heart attacks long term, of plaque deposition on our arteries. So by causing all this inflammation in our body, if you wake up with chronic pain, if you wake up with headache, if you feel bloated all the time, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, if you can't lose weight, there is a great chance that you might be experiencing this gap widening in the intestinal walls called leaky gut. Reason number 3, if you're not convinced by now, I've got one more for you. Sugar is heck of addictive. It is so addictive. So what happens, remember how I told you we take sugar cane, we process it, the surface area goes up, and because of that, when that sugar, that amount of glucose hits your brain, a neurotransmitter, so those are just like little messenger cells in the brain, they get released, okay? And your brain is like, whoa, that was a lot of pleasure from that food because it's so concentrated, right? I mean, you look at broccoli, it's not going to do the same thing. So your brain goes, oh my gosh, that was important. We should do that more often. And it starts stimulating you to seek that reward again, seek that pleasure again. You are literally physiologically addicted to sugar, and that you can break. And that's so much of what I teach inside my diet makeover programs, because think about this. You were not born addicted to sugar. You were not born with cravings for cookies. I promise. That's learned by introducing your brain to that hyperactive material that sends off all of those feel-good dopamine responses. Your brain sees it as way more important than it is, and it tells you to keep seeking it out. And most of us don't know that there's an option to end that. So I am going to wrap this up. In response to the question, if calories are all that matters, why is sugar bad? Can I eat donuts and still lose weight if it fits my daily calories? The answer is you might be able to do it maybe if you're a unicorn, but why would you want to? With all of the things I just told you about what goes on in your body, if you were to eat like that, why would you want to treat your body like that? And this might be so easy to be like, yes, I like what she's saying, that's important, but you know what we don't take into consideration, if you were to lose your health today, and you found out you had cancer tomorrow, or you had a stroke which left you half paralyzed, what would your life be like? That's what I really like to think. Like, by eating the way we're eating, it is such a short-term pleasure. If our health was taken away today, if we woke up feeling lousy every day for the rest of our life, would you willingly keep signing up for that? Or is that discomfort too much for you to manage? And I'm going to argue that you are strong enough to manage that discomfort. So in answer to that question, a calorie is not a calorie. Those daily numbers are BS. And sugar is basically poison on your body. I would love to encourage you to, if the idea of going no sugar is too much, I get it. I have been there. What about just cutting it down by half? What about by meeting yourself where you're at and deciding that this no more will I poison myself? We have the knowledge. We are educated women. We can make these decisions. So I want you this week to drop me a comment below and let me know, even if it's just one food, even if you're just like, that's it, I'm dropping my sugary yogurts. That's it, I'm gonna drop my sugary breakfast cereals. I want you to let me know this week what you are committed to dropping out that is poisoning your body. And if you're not willing to do it all, what small amount can you step forward to and meet me halfway? Thank you so much, you guys. And before you go, if you haven't already downloaded my no BS guide to a total diet makeover, you need to do it. It's at TanessaShears.com/diet makeover. I give you my top 2 strategies, the most effective things. I give you the guidelines on dropping those last 10 pounds. I talk to you all about whole foods, and I talk to you all about intermittent fasting. I give you the science-based reason why these 2 things need to be a staple in your weight loss plan, and you can get it totally for free. TanessaShears.com/diet makeover. Get it now, so that you don't forget and then start implementing immediately. You guys, if you have questions, drop them below. If this message resonates with you, share it with a friend who you know this will value, and don't forget to hit like before you go so that I know that this content is resonating with you. Have a beautiful, beautiful week, and I will see you next time.